There comes a moment in every person's life when love shatters. Not quietly, but like a storm that tears through your soul. You gave your heart to someone who promised forever, and in return, you were left with silence, unanswered messages, and memories that cut deeper than any blade. You wonder how something so beautiful could turn into pain so cruel. You lie awake, scrolling through old photos, replaying conversations, trying to understand where it all went wrong. But the truth is, love sometimes ends without a reason that makes sense. It's in that emptiness that transformation begins. Because when you lose the person you thought you couldn't live without, you meet the version of yourself that was waiting to be born. The one who no longer chases love to feel complete, but radiates it from within. The one who learns that heartbreak doesn't destroy you, it awakens you. This isn't just about love lost. It's about rebirth. About realizing that sometimes the people who break us are actually the universe's way of forcing us to meet our true selves. Because one day you'll look back and whisper, "Thank you for leaving. You made me find myself." You can spend minutes, hours, days, weeks, or even months analyzing a situation, trying to put the pieces together, justifying what could have, would have happened, or you can just leave the pieces on the floor and move on. There's something hauntingly beautiful about these words, because every one of us at some point has stood in that same room, staring at the broken pieces of something we once called love, friendship, or loyalty, trying to figure out why it fell apart. You replay every word, every text, every moment in your head, hoping that if you understand it deeply enough, it'll hurt a little less. But the truth is, the healing doesn't begin when you get answers. The healing begins when you stop asking questions that no longer have meaning in life. Some people leave not because you weren't enough, but because they were never ready for someone real. They mistake loyalty for control, love for ownership, and when they lose you, they'll eventually realize what they threw away. But that's not your job to teach them. Your job is to walk away, to stop trying to rearrange the shattered pieces of something that was only meant to be a lesson, not a lifetime. You see, sometimes life forces you to let go, not because you want to, but because holding on is silently killing your peace. You keep asking why and what if, hoping that clarity will save you. But the truth is, closure isn't something people give you. It's something you decide. Walking away doesn't mean weakness. It's one of the bravest things you'll ever do. It means you finally love yourself enough to stop bleeding for someone who never cared about your scars. If you think about it, the man who spoke those words lived that truth. He knew betrayal. He knew what it felt like to be surrounded by people who said they loved him, but secretly envied his light. He poured his pain into music, poetry, and words because he refused to let heartbreak define him. Instead of chasing apologies that never came, he turned his wounds into wisdom. He didn't wait for people to understand him. He learned to understand himself. And that's what made him unstoppable. For anyone watching this right now, maybe you're going through something similar. Maybe someone walked out of your life and left you questioning your worth. Maybe you gave everything, your loyalty, your love, and in return, you got silence. You keep refreshing your phone, hoping they'll message you, say sorry, or finally see your value. But let me tell you something powerful. When someone loses you, the one who truly loses is them, because they lost someone who would have stood beside them through storms. You only lost someone who couldn't even handle your sunshine. Moving on doesn't mean forgetting. It means accepting that some stories don't deserve sequels. It means understanding that peace is more important than answers. It means taking all that love you gave to the wrong person and redirecting it toward yourself. When you start focusing on your growth, your healing, your purpose, the same people who underestimated you will watch you rise and wonder how you survived without them. And that's when the power shifts, not because you wanted revenge, but because you chose yourself. So, the next time you find yourself analyzing, overthinking, or wishing things were different, stop and remind yourself some doors closed for your protection, not your punishment. You don't owe anyone another chance to hurt you. You owe yourself the peace that comes from letting go. Don't chase closure, become it. Don't look for validation, embody it. Because when you finally stop picking up the broken pieces, life hands you something much more beautiful, a new beginning that doesn't hurt to hold. Just because you lost me as a friend doesn't mean you gained me as an enemy. I'm bigger than that. I still want to see you eat, just not at my table. There's a deep lesson hidden in these words, a kind of strength that doesn't come from hate, but from healing. They speak to a level of emotional maturity most people never reach. It's the understanding that you can forgive someone without ever letting them back into your life. That peace doesn't come from proving a point. It comes from knowing you've outgrown the chaos that once drained you. When someone hurts you, your first instinct might be to retaliate, to show them what they lost. But real power isn't in revenge, it's in restraint. When you've given someone loyalty, love, and trust, and they still chose to betray or abandon you, the real victory isn't getting them back. It's realizing you no longer need them to validate your worth. Because truthfully, when people walk away, they often expect you to fall apart. They expect you to chase, to beg, to cry. But the moment you remain calm, silent, and focused on yourself, you become dangerous. Not because you're heartless, but because you finally mastered self-control. This mindset comes from pain, yes, but it also comes from growth. The one who first said those words lived in a world full of betrayal and fake loyalty. People would smile in his face, but plot behind his back. Yet, instead of wasting his energy on hate, he used his success as the loudest form of revenge. He knew that love and forgiveness don't make you weak. They make you free. Because the one who holds on to bitterness is still chained to the past, but the one who lets go walks toward peace. Now, think about your own life. Maybe you had friends who switched up when things got real. Maybe someone you loved deeply started acting like you never mattered. Maybe you were always there for people who disappeared the moment you needed them. It hurts deeply. But that pain is also your awakening. It's life showing you who's genuine and who's temporary. And when you start accepting people for who they are instead of who you wish they were, your peace multiplies. Don't confuse kindness with weakness. When you say, I still want to see you eat, just not at my table, what you're really saying is, I'm not bitter, I'm better. You're saying, I still wish you well, but I no longer wish to participate in your story. That's power. That's the kind of quiet strength most people can't understand because they've never had the courage to walk away without hate in their heart. In relationships, this mindset changes everything. It means you no longer chase closure from people who never valued you. You stop begging for love that must be earned. You stop trying to convince anyone to stay. You learn to let people go with grace. And that grace becomes your shield when they finally realize what they lost. Your loyalty, your energy, your peace. They'll regret it deeply. But by then, you'll have grown too much to go back. Today's generation needs this reminder not everyone deserves access to you. Protect your energy the way you protect your dreams. You can love people from afar, wish them well, and still keep your distance because real strength isn't in fighting to keep people. It's in knowing when to let them go and still smile. So when someone who betrayed you tries to come back, remember forgiveness is free, but access is earned. You can forgive and still move forward. You can love and still choose peace. You can wish them the best, just not from your table. That's not pride. That's wisdom. And that's how you rise above. You can spend minutes, hours, days, weeks, or even months over analyzing a situation, trying to put the pieces together, justifying what would have happened, or you can just leave the pieces on the floor and move on. These words hold a truth that hits deep. Because everyone at some point has sat in the ruins of something they once believed would last forever. A relationship, a friendship, a connection that felt too real to fade. When it falls apart, our instinct is to replay it endlessly in our minds, trying to understand where things went wrong, what we could have said differently, or why the person changed. But the harsh truth is, sometimes the closure you're waiting for will never come. And the only way to heal is to stop trying to fix what broke you. It's human nature to want answers. To crave an explanation for why someone who promised forever suddenly became a stranger. But when you keep picking up the broken pieces of a connection that's already dead, you only cut yourself deeper. You bleed over what's already gone. There's a moment when you have to choose peace over pain, acceptance over questions, and silence over closure. That's what those words are really about. Reclaiming your time, your energy, your sanity. The man who spoke them lived through betrayal, abandonment, and heartbreak. He learned the hard way that not everyone you love is meant to stay, and not everyone you lose is worth chasing. In his world, people switched up fast. Loyalty had an expiration date. Yet, instead of letting it harden him, he let it teach him. He learned that peace doesn't come from fixing broken people. It comes from fixing the parts of yourself that keep tolerating pain in the name of love. If you think about it, this truth applies to so many of us today. You might be sitting in your room, scrolling through old messages, staring at photos that once made you smile. You replay conversations in your mind, trying to understand how someone could just walk away. But here's the reality, not every connection ends with a clear reason. Some people leave because they were never meant to stay. Some hurt you not because you were unworthy, but because their heart wasn't ready for the kind of love you gave. When you start to accept that, you free yourself. You stop needing explanations to move on. You stop begging for closure from people who weren't honest even when they were with you. Healing begins the moment you stop analyzing the pain and start learning from it. When you let go of what broke you, you make space for what's meant for you. The man behind that quote didn't become strong by avoiding pain. He became strong by learning to let go of what no longer served him. He didn't chase people who left, and he didn't force love that wasn't real. He understood that overthinking is like living in a prison built by your own memories. You keep yourself locked in, replaying moments that no longer exist. But the door is always open. You just have to decide to walk out. For today's generation, this message is crucial. In a world obsessed with validation, where we seek answers in texts, social media, and silence, we forget that peace doesn't come from them. It comes from within. You don't need to know why they left. You just need to know that you deserve better than someone who could. So the next time you find yourself overthinking the past, remember, no amount of analyzing can fix what was meant to end. You're not supposed to make sense of every heartbreak. You're supposed to grow through it. Let the broken pieces stay on the floor and walk away with your dignity, your peace, and your power intact. Because when you finally stop chasing answers, you start chasing yourself, and that's where true healing begins. Don't change on me. Don't extort me unless you intend to do it forever. This quote may sound simple, but it carries an emotional storm behind it. A deep cry for consistency, loyalty, and truth in relationships. It's a reminder that when love turns into manipulation and connection becomes control, it's no longer love, it's a transaction. And once you see that, you can never look at that person the same way again. Think about it. We all crave something real. Someone who stays true when times get hard. Someone who doesn't switch up when life changes. But too often, people love you when it benefits them, support you when you're useful, and disappear when you need them most. They take from your energy, your kindness, your peace, until you have nothing left to give. That's what this quote speaks to. The pain of being used by people who only show up when it's convenient. The man who said these words lived that reality. He was surrounded by people who smiled in his face, but plotted behind his back. He gave his heart, his loyalty, his trust, only to realize that some people don't love you, they love what you can give them. And when that giving stops, so does their affection. But instead of letting it break him, he learned from it. He learned that not everyone who says they're real will stay real when loyalty is tested. In relationships, whether romantic or friendships, this lesson hits hard. Sometimes the people you'd ride for won't even walk for you. You give your time, your love, your understanding, and in return, they give you inconsistency. One day they're warm, the next they're cold. One day they swear they'll never leave, and the next they act like they never knew you. And through it all, you keep hoping they'll see your worth. But here's the truth. People who can manipulate your kindness will never value your loyalty. When someone starts playing games with your heart, giving you attention one day and silence the next, that's not love, that's control. And when you allow that pattern to continue, you start losing yourself trying to keep them. But emotional maturity means recognizing the moment someone changes on you and refusing to beg them to stay the same. It means understanding that consistency is a choice, and if they can't choose without conditions, then they were never truly yours. The man behind that quote learned that loyalty isn't tested in comfort, it's tested in chaos. When everything is good, everyone loves you. But when things fall apart, the real ones reveal themselves. And when you find out someone was using you, the temptation is to seek revenge, to prove you're unbothered, to match their coldness. But that's not strength, that's reaction. True strength is walking away in silence with your self-respect untouched. For today's generation, this is a warning and a wake-up call. We live in an era where emotional manipulation is disguised as affection. People ghost you to control you. They come back to see if you're still waiting. They change on you just to keep you uncertain. But you don't owe them your peace, your forgiveness, or your second chances. Real love doesn't make you doubt yourself. It doesn't make you compete for attention. It doesn't drain you to keep someone satisfied. And if someone tries to extort your energy, your loyalty, or your worth, then it's time to step back and protect your soul. Because once a person shows you that their loyalty has a price, believe them and never let them rent space in your heart again. You can't stop people from changing on you, but you can stop allowing their changes to change you. Don't become cold because of their betrayal. Become wiser. Don't seek revenge. Seek peace. Because one day they'll look back and realize what they lost, and that's their punishment. Your peace, your glow, your growth. That's your revenge. You can never just be friends with someone you fell in love with, because a part of you will always want more. This line carries the ache of truth that so many people live but rarely say out loud. It speaks of that quiet pain when someone you once shared everything with suddenly becomes a stranger you're forced to treat like an acquaintance. It's about pretending you're fine when your heart still remembers how it felt to be loved by them. It's about realizing that sometimes the end of a relationship isn't mutual. Sometimes one heart heals and the other bleeds in silence. When you love deeply, you don't just connect with someone's presence. You connect with their soul, their laughter, their voice. Their energy becomes a rhythm your heart gets used to. So when they walk away, that rhythm doesn't stop instantly. It echoes. You can delete the pictures, block the number, or say, we're just friends. But your heart knows it's lying. That's the weight behind this quote. The truth that love doesn't fade with distance. It fades with acceptance. And that takes time. The man who said these words lived that pain. He was passionate, loyal, and fearless in love, but also broken by betrayal. He gave his heart completely. No halfway, no pretending. And when love left him, it didn't just disappear, it tore through him, reshaping how he saw trust, loyalty, and connection. That's what made him so real. He never hid the pain that came with loving too much. This quote reminds us that love, when real, changes you. It doesn't end when the relationship ends. You can't unfeel what was once pure. You can't unknow someone who touched your soul. But the danger lies in trying to hold on, in convincing yourself that friendship can replace love. Because every time you see them smile, every time they talk about someone else, you die a little inside. You call it maturity, but deep down, it's heartbreak with a mask. Many people today live in that emotional confusion. They're stuck between missing someone and pretending not to. They call it closure. But what they really mean is, I'm still hoping you'll come back. They say, we're friends now. But what they mean is, I still love you, just quietly. And in that silence, they lose themselves, waiting for a sign that never comes. But emotional strength isn't about pretending you don't care. It's about accepting that you still do and choosing to heal anyway. It's realizing that loving someone doesn't mean you belong together. Sometimes love is a lesson, not a lifetime. And sometimes letting go is the most powerful way to say, I loved you, but I love myself more. The truth is, you can't grow while holding on to someone who's already moved on. You can't become your best self while replaying memories of who you were with them. Love isn't supposed to keep you stuck. It's supposed to teach you how to fly, even if the one you loved isn't beside you anymore. So don't force friendship where your heart still feels fire. Don't shrink your emotions just to keep someone around. Healing begins when you stop chasing closure from the same person who broke you. Sometimes closure isn't a conversation. It's a decision. It's looking at the past and saying, thank you for the lesson, but I'm done suffering for what's gone. In today's world, where people often confuse detachment with strength, remember this. It's not cold to walk away from someone who can't meet you where you deserve to be. It's not weak to admit you still care, but it's brave to let go anyway. Real maturity isn't pretending you never loved. It's learning to live again, even after losing what you thought was forever. One day, you'll stop missing them. You'll stop checking your phone. Stop replaying the good times. Stop dreaming of what if. And when that day comes, you'll realize you didn't lose them. You found yourself. And that's the kind of peace no heartbreak can ever take away. conclusion of love has a strange way of teaching us the hardest lessons, not through comfort, but through heartbreak. When someone you gave your soul to walks away, it feels like the end of everything. You replay moments, wonder what went wrong, and question if you weren't enough. But over time, you begin to see the truth. You weren't broken, you were being rebuilt. Every tear was shaping you into someone stronger, wiser, and more in tune with your own worth. The pain of losing someone you loved isn't meant to destroy you, it's meant to awaken you. It teaches you that love doesn't always mean holding on. Sometimes it means letting go with grace. It reminds you that not everyone who touches your heart is meant to stay forever, and that's okay. Some people come to teach you self-worth through their absence. Others show you what love is by showing you what it isn't. The real victory isn't getting them back. It's becoming so complete within yourself that you no longer need them to feel whole. It's looking at your reflection and realizing that the person who once cried over being left is now standing tall, not bitter, not broken, but beautifully transformed. And when they finally see you again, the glow in your eyes, the peace in your smile, the quiet strength in your presence, they'll feel it. That regret, that ache of losing someone who truly cared. But by then, it won't matter, because you'll have already outgrown the version of yourself that begged for their love. Pain, in the end, isn't the enemy. It's the sculptor of your power. It strips away illusions and forces you to see who you really are. Someone unshakable, someone whole, someone free. So don't chase those who couldn't see your worth. Don't reopen doors that destiny has already closed. Your story doesn't end with heartbreak. It begins there. Because one day, you'll thank the pain for teaching you how to love yourself the way they never could. This is your rise. This is your redemption. And this time, the love that saves you won't come from someone else. It will come from within.